Hello, my name is Anthony. I am a million years old. I'm 36 years old. I'm about to be 37 years old. I have been writing stories since I was in elementary school. I started writing, making up my own nonsense stories about vampire dogs and other silly things when I was supposed to be doing homework in, like third grade, maybe. And I've always wanted to make movies. I've never. It's such a difficult process for me because movies, like historically, by the very nature of them, seem to be a very collaborative effort. And also, it seems, for the most part, in many cases, most cases, to take a team. It's a team effort. It takes a lot of people, no matter what. Even if everyone's doing their job based on a particular director and their what they have to say and how they are going to be in control of the whole thing. Even if one person is leading the charge, there's a team behind them. I've never had a team of people. I've never been fortunate enough to have that many or, enough friends at any given time to, facilitate that sort of, whimsy. I've tried in the past, like when I first figured out that people wrote movies, I was like, I could do this. I could write a movie. So I wrote a short film. And it was a silly film about this guy who couldn't tell the difference between his dream life and his waking life, and he fell in love with a girl in both realities, and he wasn't sure which was real and which was a figment of his imagination. He was kind of like coping with that and like wondering which one where did he want to live? Does he want to live in the reality? Does he want to chase the dream? So I was like, I wrote this silly screenplay, and I gathered my friends. I was like, I have this camcorder. Let's make a movie, and we tried. And we failed. We failed so miserably. But part of the reason we failed was, part of it was just me not having enough gumption to get it done. Really, I think 17, when I started, and I was just like, I don't know, I didn't have it in me to herd the cats, that I could find, and what I could find was honestly, they weren't. Some people said they would do it, and like scheduling didn't work out, or like then when they'd show up on the day, they would just like giggle through it and wouldn't actually act. And I was like, no, can we take that? I know we're young and stupid, but can we all just try a little bit? But they wouldn't, So I was like, what am I gonna do? So I made like some silly videos of my own, but I've never really felt like I was like an actor, and so I was like, I'll just improvise and be silly through things. But like I slowly gave up on the idea of writing a scripted film, like writing a screenplay and actually making anything. So I turned to the next most tangible thing that I could think of, which was comic books. I was like, I love comic books. Obviously, I was born for this stuff. I absolutely adore it. It is, a huge part of my life, always has been. It also felt equally daunting because I never felt confident in my own art. So I was just like, oh, I can't make a comic book. I can't draw well enough. I'm no, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Just getting down, just being depressed and not having that confidence. But eventually, thankfully, I found that confidence. I was like, I'm going to freaking do it. And I just started drawing and trying my best. And I started getting stuff done, but not enough, I was just like, it was more of a hobby than anything else. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I didn't feel confident in what I was doing. I really enjoyed writing more than anything else, but I was like, it's daunting. It's a daunting, overwhelming task to draw an entire comic book that you're writing when really what you want to be focusing on is the writing. But I have to do it. I'm going to try. And I freaking I sucked. And I just kept failing. I was like, nothing I'm drawing. I don't like anything I'm drawing. And I feel like it's taking me longer than I want. Like, I want to be writing. I'm not actually progressing into the aspect of the thing that I love the most. And what am I doing? Who am I? Why am I doing this? And then I met my friend Steven, and we just, we hit it off, and he loves drawing. I love writing. We started making books together, and we just like made this stuff, we made all this stuff together. We made all this, and And I love it. I love doing it. We make podcasts together and we get together every week and we're doing our best to make comic books. We're making a new book called Deathless. I love it. I'm so excited about how all of it's going. But I can't help but to want to make a movie. I want to make movies. I've always wanted to. And as I've gotten older, I've learned a lot about filmmaking. I've learned a lot about the various jobs on film set, pre-production, production, post-production, and such, and like what it takes to actually make it happen. And the more I've learned over the years, the more tangible and feasible everything has seemed, especially these days with social media and Kickstarter and all these these avenues of production that seem to facilitate the sort of dreams that I've always had, and I think that, I truly believe that if I sit down and try, I can come up with ideas that are good, and like that I can get excited about, but that are also filmable, feasible, reasonable ideas that I personally could make within with a small budget. So I've been thinking about that, and I've really wanted to make a movie. And so I started coming up with ideas, and I was like, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do this, but then life gets in the way. There's a hurricane. My best friend dies. We're going to just go through a major breakup again. Just all this stuff gets in the way, and it's just like, why? I just want to do it. I just want to freaking do it. I just gotta sit there and do it. And you don't, sometimes you don't, you sit down, you do other things, you prioritize. Like I have to edit a podcast, I plan a podcast, I post, I try to like keep up on social media and do all this stuff, and marketing books and, selling things and shipping things and do all this stuff. So life gets in the way, so you follow one particular whimsy and the other one gets lost. And I don't want it to be lost. I don't want that one to be lost. It's a huge part of my life. It has been my entire life. It's something I've always wanted, and it's something I still want. And I'm just like, why have I not been chasing this? Why am I not doing this? It's been with me long enough to this point where it's like I need to commit to it. I need to, like, if I like it, I should put a ring on it, or I'm gonna let it go be a Beyonce with other people. Like I have to stop. I have to let it go, So I saw this competition. My friend Sean sent me this, and he knows that I've always liked to write and I want to make movies. And he saw there's a contest. Kevin Smith is participating in this contest where you write a short film, and he's going to judge it, and whoever wins has the opportunity to win $40,000 toward, I think, making it's so you win $40,000 basically to make a short film that could eventually or hopefully potentially grow to a feature film, depending on how the film is perceived and such. So I was thinking about it. I was like, why don't I already have something to send into this? I have the ideas. I have enough time. I just need to use my time more wisely than I am. I am spending too much time on social media. I am spending too much time for watching YouTube videos or watching, things I've already seen, like watching reruns of Bob's Burgers, which I love and I want to continue to watch. I want to watch Community for the billionth time. But if I just cut out 2 episodes a day and I spend that hour writing, I could have scripts, and within a week I can have a finished, at least first draft. Like, who knows, I punch that thing up and have something worth writing. Why haven't I done it already? So I have this opportunity, so I figured I'm going to use this opportunity with the Kevin Smith contest to just write something, get something done. So this is my very first night of thinking about this. I decided to do it. So tonight, what I'm gonna do, my only plan for tonight, so it's due, today is the 9th of January. It is due on the 14th, which not that much time. That's no time at all. But night 1, all I'm gonna do, I'm not going crazy. I'm just going to write down a list of ideas that I think I could potentially write in that amount of time. And the other, I'm trying to be smart about this. Okay, so this is what I'm actually thinking. What I'm thinking is it's a short film contest that's going to provide a certain budget. And I think that the judges will recognize certain budgetary constraints and they're going to be knowledgeable people. You know, Kevin Smith knows how to make a movie. He obviously knows how to make a movie for not that much money, but he also knows that there are limitations for a particular budget, especially with, you know, first-time filmmakers and such. But like, regardless of that, like, I think if I recognize that there are certain provisos, if there are certain rules that I should try to, you know, adhere to, then I have a better chance of winning this thing. So what I'm thinking is, I want to keep it as few locations as possible. I want to keep the cast limited. I'd like to keep it during the day, but that's not going to happen. I know it's going to end up being a night shoot, which stinks. But okay, no children, no animals, and I'm going to limit as much as I know it's going to be some sort of monstery, genre bendy, fun supernatural comedy situation. I know that. That's what I do. I know that. But I'm going to try to limit the necessary effects so that maybe there are a couple of like hero effects that anyone reading it would reasonably think you can get away with them for a certain budget. Hopefully, you know. In any case, my real plan is to write this with those particular rules in place, come up with ideas with those particular rules in place, so that regardless of what happens with this contest, the contest is just a fun opportunity, like a launching point, but I can really use it as a motivational tool to perpetuate, you know, the thing that I've been wanting to do anyway, and actually get something done. So let's, you know, even if I don't make it, and, you know, by the 14th, I will make it, and I will write this thing. And if I don't win, I'd like to read the script on the podcast with Steven, whatever it is, and maybe we'll kickstart a movie and just freaking do it because it's time, right? Okay. So before I get like emotional and stupid, I'm gonna write a list of the ideas that I have. I'm gonna sit on my foot because that's how my brain works. So the idea is, like I said, silly supernatural comedy, you know, genre stuff. First ones that come to mind are the two vampire ones that I know I can keep the budget pretty low. Okay, so the first one is Stakeout. I have my little book here, my barreled sticker on it. You can get that at giveissuespodcast.com. Anyway, Stakeout. So the idea of Stakeout. So I have experienced so many breakups and like bad relationships and weird situations in my life. And I know it's tough to go through those, and like you have to lean on people. And I know that doesn't sound like, so it's supposed to be a comedy competition. And this will be a comedy. I know that's not the best way to sell a comedy yet. So, however, that's just the beginning of it. So the idea is a character who would probably be played by me, is broken up with, dumped by his girlfriend, and he starts like having thoughts about, you know, what could possibly be happening. Like, why did she break up with me suddenly? You know, like, I got kicked out of this place. I have nowhere to live. What am I doing? I'm living in my car now. Like, how did this happen? How did our relationship get to this point? So he calls his best friend, who has an established relationship, better life, you know, like, you know, just he's happy in what he's doing and all this. And he calls his friend and he's just like, she left me for a vampire. And it's just like, so it kicks off where these two guys are in a car eating pizza, watching this woman's house, and like suspicious that a vampire is going to be there. And then a vampire shows up and things get funny and weird. But anyway, he lives in the car, so the vampire can't actually enter the car. So it becomes kind of like a cat and mouse, like Jaws, but with a vampire outside of a car movie. And it's called Stakeout. I think it'd be fun. So that's the first one. It would only take, I mean, really, it's like 3 people, no, probably 4 people, because you have to include the girlfriend. Most likely, you have to include that to make the story, you know, really work. Anyway, so it's really a cast of 4 heavily. I think there would probably end up being 6 people total, but that's nothing as far as a cast is concerned. And it would be a single location, probably 2 locations if you count the phone call where, you know, his friend is. Anyway, 2 locations, possibly 6 characters. Most of it takes place in the car. That's super easy to film. It's a little tricky because you have to keep it dynamic and fun. However, it's a short film, you know, and I think I could do it. So Not to mention, Kevin Smith made a short in a car called The Flying Car, so I think we could do this. Idea number 2 starts off in a kind of small town. It's like a one-person sheriff's office dispatch place, and he gets a call middle of the night. It's just like, ready to eat his late night snack or a midnight snack, and as he's about to eat, phone rings. He's like, blah blah blah, sheriff's office, how can I help? And we cut to probably me or an actor, hopefully, who can actually do it, but like someone just like bleeding, and they're like, I've been bit by a vampire, and they're just like in their house, and they're like, what do I do? And the guy's like, I'm not gonna send just like please stop, like this is the middle of the night, I'm not gonna send our only officers out there at 2 o'clock in the morning and like wake them up with their families to go and deal with someone who says there's a vampire. So the guy's like, no, there's a vampire, he's outside my house, like what do I do? He's like, okay, well, if the vampire's outside of your house, you're fine, vampires can't enter unless you invite them. He's like, okay, well, is that true? Is that true, or is that just in movies? He's like, well, has the vampire come in? He's like, I'm gonna need you to open that door. He's like, I'm not gonna open a door, so it's like, so the whole movie is this dispatcher talking this guy through vampire lore and how to kill this vampire, because he realizes the man's been bitten. If he doesn't kill the vampire, he's going to become a vampire. So he has only one choice, and that's to kill the vampire outside. So the movie would be called How to Dispatch a Vampire. I mean, I have so many other ideas, but it's tricky to think of something that I can write in this amount of time that will also be a comedy and also have potential to win a contest, and also be within those restraints that I said. I so far these 2 ideas are within within those categories, and I think I can do it. I'm not sure which one to go with. I'm leaning towards Stakeout because I feel like it's going to be funnier, like it'll lead to better situations, that'll be comedic, or easier for me to write comedically, whereas How to Dispatch a Vampire, I feel like has a lot of potential for comedy and it's basically like Home Alone with a vampire, and it can be very funny, but I'm afraid that I might, I don't know, I might have a little more trouble with it for a while, like cracking that particular nut. So I think it's something I can do, but I think it's something that I might need a couple of weeks with, or at least a full day without having to work, without having to be a parent, without having to do podcasts. This is a situation where I'm giving myself 5 days, and in that 5 days, I have to film a podcast, edit a podcast, post a podcast, do all that stuff while being a parent, taking my son, waking up in the mornings, taking my son to school, going to work, coming home from work, picking up my son from school, being a parent all day, making dinner, doing all that stuff. And then when he goes to bed, after I edit the podcast and do all this stuff, I'm going to write this thing. So that being said, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have much energy, and I feel like at this point, I am most excited about writing Stakeout. So I'm gonna go with that. That's what I'm gonna go with. I was gonna also pitch Bury Your Dead, but I don't think I can do that as comedically, because I think that story is kind of turning into a horror story in my head, and I can't stop it. Like I think it's a good horror movie. Anyway, I'll tell you about it. But like, this is for a comedy contest, so obviously I have to stick with that. Originally I came up with this idea about these roommates, and like one of them's obnoxious and he gets killed by accident, and the guy doesn't know what to do. He's like, I killed my roommate, but I don't want to. No one liked him anyway, but you, like, murder's not good, but I also don't belong in jail just because I accidentally murdered somebody. So he goes through all like the like silly things about like, oh my god, I accidentally did this thing, what do I do? And he buries him in the backyard. But that night, he comes back to life, and he's like, what the hell? And he just like gets terrified, and he bludgeons this guy again, and he ends up burying him again. He's just like, what? I had to, because of course, if like he figured if the guy lived, he's gonna tell the cops, he's gonna get in trouble. It's even worse now, like, what do we do? So then the guy comes back a third time. The next morning he comes back, but he's just like, it's just slowly, he's like Jack from American Werewolf in London, where he's just like slowly decomposing. It's just like disgusting. As every time he comes back, he's like, he has the wounds from being murdered. And so it's just like, dude, you have to stop killing me. It's just like, being really kind of being cool about it. And but the whole time, this roommate's just like not being upfront with the roommate. Like, you know, the guy who keeps murdering him, he's not being upfront with him. He's not telling him how he feels. He's just killing him over and over. And just they're going through this trouble. And he's just like, so he buries him again. And it keeps happening, and then eventually he has this whole, you know, like he says his piece about how Barry, you know, this guy is taking over his life, and he's, you know, he's not a good roommate, but he's also just a bad friend, and it's not fair, and he deserves better. And like, why does he shouldn't be sticking, he should be living on his own at this point, and why is he putting up with this nonsense from him when, you know, he's done all this, you know, all this stuff. So he finally stands up for himself, and he bludgeons, you know, the guy, and he kind of just like finally turns to dust because, you know, he's been decomposing all this time, and he's just gone. And so it's, you know, it's just him coming to terms with what his life should be and getting rid of the thing that doesn't work in his life for what he wants anymore. And it would be called Barry, You're Dead, like, you know, because the guy would be called Barry. Lately I've been thinking about that as like I kind of like I like that pitch, but I feel like all of the murder, there might be too much murder. I don't know how people will perceive that. But anyway, so I'm gonna write it anyway. Barry, You're Dead. Of these three ideas, I'm not right now. I'm leaning towards Stakeout. I'm gonna go with Stakeout because I don't have much time. Best case scenario, I like rush through it somehow, like get it done. I feel really good about it and start another one, you know. So I'm gonna do that. My next step is I'm going to outline the scenes of Stakeout and figure out what needs to happen and when, you know, like exactly beginning, middle, and end, what's going to happen. And then I'm gonna start writing this freaking thing. So this is day one. I just wanted to come up with, you know, like pitch out my ideas, say what I was going to try to do. Tomorrow is going to be my outline. I'm going to try to get the outline as crisp as I can. That's my plan. I also have to do a podcast, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, wish me luck.